Hi guys, this is David again. I'm going to make a video today talking about one of the ways to keep warm in the van, and the method I want to show you is something that's going to be one of your main methods that you can use to stay warm this winter time in your van. So here it is right here. It is the Mr. Buddy heater. Now this one right here is the small version of it. There is bigger ones. There's one that has the bigger one has two canisters, so you can use the canister on each side, on like each side of the heater, and it also has two of these. I'm trying to think about how to call these. Two of these elements that can heat up, I guess is how I can call that for right now. Clay type elements, or whatever you want to call it, that can heat up and radiate the heat out. The bigger one actually has that. This being a smaller one, of course, it only has the one element. Also, the bigger one has a fan on it as well, on the top part of it, that actually will blow the air out as well too. Now, also too, before I go any further, I do want to tell you guys, as a caution type thing, you do want to make sure that you have a window open when you're using your heater, whether it's the Mr. Buddy heater like I got, or the bigger version, or whatever the case may be. But you want to make sure that you do have a window open, so that way the propane gas can ventilate out that window, and you want to have good ventilation, because if not, you can actually die from this though. So just keep that in mind. Now, it doesn't mean you need to be scared to use it or scared to get one, because they are definitely useful. In fact, I used mine last winter as well. So this winter that we're getting ready to be in will be my second winter time actually using this thing. So it does work. It's just you have to be smart when you're using this and have ventilation in your van or your RV or whatever you're using. Alright, now I'm going to talk about how to use this one as well. Got some dust on there because I actually had it put away too. Well, I actually did use it last night, but I'm saying as far as for the whole summertime, I had to put it away though. So when you start this thing though, it's got different settings on here. Let me see if I can get in here a little bit closer. Okay, so you got off setting, which is right here. You got your pilot, then you got your low, and then over here you got your high. Now what you do though is you first go to where it says pilot. And especially too, when you very first put the canister in there, by the way, it takes the 1 pound cans, and you can have an attachment set up for it too, where you can use the 20 pound tanks as well too. But I'll talk about that here in a second. But so when you get to started, you push down on it. You push down to get it to move. You gotta actually hold on. Well, of course, I'm going to have some problems when I'm making this video. Any other time, there ain't no problems at all using this thing. Go figure. Well, doesn't that just figure? There we go. I finally got it, because it's like a notch type thing too. It's not like where you just push it down and just move it over. You gotta get it through the notch thing too. I think it's like a safety issue, is why it does that. So when you get it to start to come over, oh, shoot. Hang on a second, guys. This is giving me fits. It's really ticking me off right now. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. Okay, finally, I got it. But like I said, because there's notches on there too, is why you can't just necessarily turn it right over, because you got to make sure you go through the actual notch. So you got to push it down, and then try to find where the notch is at, and then turn it over. But when you get to where it says pilot, excuse me, when you get to where it says pilot though, then especially when you first put your canister in there, you want to actually hold it down for about 5 to 10 seconds, because that way it lets the gas actually get up in there and lets it get started as far as having something to use, because there's a light down here. It's called, well, it's like a trigger lighting mechanism. It's called piezo, I think it's what it's actually called, so it's real good, and it works every single time now when you use it. But as far as a pilot, then you just hold that down, and you should have seen how there was a flame there. In fact, I'll do it again. There you go. But when you hold that down first for a few seconds, it lets the gas get in there. Then you turn it over to either low or high. Some people say you should do it on high, but I always turn mine on low anyways. Eventually it does catch. It's not like it's a thing where it happens right away, but eventually it does catch. And as you should be able to see on there, it actually lit the gas, and then it's actually starting to work. So like I said, first when you do it, as far as on your when you go to your pilot section or your pilot setting, hold it down all the way, or hold the knob all the way down to let the gas fill into the chamber, and then, like I said, you do that for about 5 to 10 seconds. Especially when you first put a new one in there, you want to do it for about 10 seconds at least. Excuse me, to let the gas get in there, and then after that, you push it down again on the pilot, so that way it actually lights it. So that blue flame down there, as you should be able to see, that will trigger that to be a light. And then you turn it, after that happens, as far as actually lighting it, then you turn it over to either low or high. If you want to turn it to high to get it to go for sure, like real quick, like a quick startup, that's fine. But then after you put it on high, you can change it back over to low and keep it on low, because especially when you're in a van, it doesn't take the high setting to heat up the van. In fact, I'm going to show you something else too, but of course you want to do this at your own risk, I guess is what I like to say. And that is, instead of just keeping it on low, for this one anyways, now I heard the other ones it doesn't work like this, but I heard for this one it does work like this, and plus I've already done it myself too in the past. But when you got it on low, you can turn it back toward the pilot again, like you're getting ready to turn it off, because when you go to the pilot, you're going to turn it off like that. And actually, you might be able to see how it went down a little bit some too. There you go. But see, now you see how it's starting to flutter. Oh crap. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that too. If not, you might put yourself on fire, or at least burn your hairs off or something of your arm. So you gotta be careful with that. But anyways, my point is that you can go even lower than the low setting, and that way you're not using as much gas. So as you saw, that was starting to flutter. There you go. That right there is probably about as low as I'm going to be able to get, because if I go any lower than that, it's actually going to shut off then for sure. But what I'm saying is, that way by putting it on that type of a setting like that, or a lower setting, then you're not using as much gas of your propane gas, and that way it's going to last even longer. Now it can last, this 1 pound propane tank, if you keep it on low, it can last for about 3 to 4 hours, I would say. So it's actually pretty good even as it is. But if you keep it on even the lower setting, it should be able to last even longer as well too. So, okay guys, so I went ahead and turned it off because I don't need it right now, because it's during the day anyways, and it's actually starting to warm up again here. Last night though, I did have to use it for sure, because it got down to, I think the weather guys were saying like 38 degrees as far as what it actually got down to. But what I was saying, or what I was going to say though before too, is, like I said, you can use a 1 pound tank on it, 1 pound propane tank on it for sure. But there is also a attachment that you can get, that you can, in fact, let me bring this out here. You can see that it also swivels out there, so that way it's easier to put your 1 pound propane tank in there, so it's easier to load in there. You just take the white cap off that's going to be on there, and just make sure that you screw it in there. But be careful, of course, because you don't want to mess up the threads. You don't want to cross thread it or anything like that. So just pay attention when you're actually screwing it inside there. But there is an attachment though that you can get for the Mr. Buddy heaters and the bigger heaters and so forth that they got, to where you can run a line to the 20 pound propane tanks. And then that way, by using the 20 pound propane tank, you can have this thing going all night long for sure. And that way you can have warmth in your van all night long for sure. Because as of right now, like when I'm using this thing, what I do is I turn it on for about 15 to 20 minutes before I go to bed, and then I turn it off. And that way it lasts longer to be able to use this 1 pound propane tank. So that way I'm able to use this for multiple nights instead of just using it just for one night. Because if I let it run, of course, all the way for one night, it might last for about 3 to 4 hours and it'll be done. So yeah, that's something to definitely keep in mind, and that's something I'm going to be working on myself later down the line as far as getting an attachment for this and getting a 20 pound propane tank set up. And then of course, after you have your 20 pound propane tank, then you keep your propane tank that you got, and then you can keep on getting it refilled at different places. There's lots of different places you can go to as far as getting your tank refilled, and then that way you're not paying as much. Because when you first get your 20 pound propane tank, you're going to have to pay for that first up front to buy that, of course, and it's going to have propane in it as well. So like for example, in my area right now, it's about I think it's about $60, and that's the propane tank, the 20 pound, and it's got the propane in it. Now after you've got the propane tank, then when you just want to exchange it or just get it refilled, then after that it's about $22 I think right now is what the average cost is for that. So it's a big difference. But either way, you figure, well, from what I'm hearing anyways from other people has talked about it, is that 1 pound, I'm sorry, not 1 pound, the 20 pound propane tank should be able to last you about 3 weeks or more as far as being able to use that. So it's definitely worth it for sure, and definitely will come in very handy as far as keeping yourself warm in your van. But just remember, like I said, make sure that you got a window open to have ventilation though, because that is very important. Also too, it would not be a bad idea to get yourself a excuse me, a carbon monoxide detector. You can put a 9-volt battery in that and be in good shape, because in that way, if it does get too much gas into the van or whatever, then it's going to go off and let you know. Because what happens is you get real tired from when it gets to be too much, and it puts you to sleep. And then if it puts you to sleep, if it keeps on going, then you can end up dying in your sleep. That's how that works. So you just got to be real careful with that. But also too, the Mr. Buddy heater though is said to have the safety features. Like number one is if it turns over, if it falls over, it'll shut off. Another feature it's said to have though is that if it does get to be low oxygen in the room, then it also turns off as well too. But you want to read your owner's manual and check into that though. But yeah, that's it for this video. Just wanted to show that to you guys, and let you know that there is definitely ways to keep yourself warm in a van. And this is just one system I'm showing you right now. Later down the line, I will show you some other methods as well too. So keep a watchful eye out for that as well too. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day.